Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw Tips and Tricks, part 2 of this, where I said this is a rule. It's not really a rule. I kind of made it up, 50% at 60-degree rule. And if you didn't watch part 1, this is where that came into play, but we're going to take and make that shape. I hit P to put it in the center of the page. This kind of came to me by this graphic I saw on the internet, the fuzzy, but it's really pretty neat. And I thought I can reduplicate that. So we made this shape. Right now I'm going to left click, right click. I do not like it at that angle, so I'm going to rotate it 60 degrees. It's just preference. 30 degrees, half of it. Because I like working it with this tip. Whoop, move it with the 4-sided cross, not the 2. And it don't have to work on the center of the page. But I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate. And I'm going to move the rotation to that node, make sure I'm there. Doesn't look like I'm there. You can always zoom in and hit and see I'm not there. I need to be on that node. Now, I think I've already made now see we're at 60 to 30 degrees, so we need to rotate it 90 degrees. And if that ever bugs you to do that, what you can do is take your Smart Fill tool and sit it in or fill it in and then move this back and left click, right click. Now you're at 0 degrees because the Smart Fill made a new item. It doesn't really matter, but I actually do that all the time. Control D and make a duplicate, hit the double so you get the rotation. We're not there again. I'm not batting very good today, but put it a little closer to that node and we're there. Now I'm actually going to make a duplicate of that and move it over because I'm going to need it in a second. I'm going to Control D and make another one and put the rotation there, and I'm going to rotate it 60 degrees. Now, this is the shape we want, so I'm going to take the Smart Fill tool and move that out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and keep those. I'm going to nudge them down. I'm going to move that back. I'm going to left click, right click. And the reason I did that, because now I'm not going to overlap anything. This will be, when I rotate it, if I duplicated it, and I did, see it fits inside there. Now, to make this work, now we're going to group this. I made a duplicate. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to group it together, and I'm going to rotate it 30 degrees because now I want that sharpest point there. Now, if you remember, I made another one of these. I'm going to rotate it 30 degrees because I want those two tips to touch. Now, we don't really need one in this corner, but we're going to go ahead and use this corner. And I have it snapped too. I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate. And I'm going to move this, see how the center rotation is there. Now I'm going to move it to the center. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees because I rotated it. Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. Now, for this to work, I don't need that one there. I don't want it there. Let me move this out of the way. I should have made this quite a bit smaller, and I can now because I've got all my, well, you know what I'm going to need? Well, we can make one later. I'm going to Control G to group it. I'm going to make it smaller by holding down the Shift key. We can always make another one. Now, the reason I don't have one here is because when we duplicate, this guy is going to go over there. And I don't want a double one. So I'm going to get out my parallel dimension tool, and I'm going to go from that node to that node, and we're at 12.08. So change your nudge factor to 12.08. Let's take away this. I group that together. Now Control G and make a duplicate and see what I got. Now, there's a lot of ways to think about this and how to do the pattern, but this will be a pretty cool pattern within itself. Now, like I said, I need another one of these, so I can just take the Smart Fill tool, fill that in and nudge it over, and then I can left click, right click. Now, what I should have done is gone and done the Smart Fill before I did all this and to make my pattern. So I'm going to just delete some of these and use this one right here. And I'm going to go in and fill in with my Smart Fill tool. I made to make every one of these a color. And then I can use the interactive fill tool. I'm going to go ahead and put in my outline. Well, got a little bit of a leak right there. There's ways around that. let's, I don't know why it would leak. Sometimes if you have double lines, it will leak, but I don't. Let's try doing it one at a time. Nope, see those two leak. Go back to this one. Those two leak. So only these two leak. So what can we do to fix that? Well, what we can do is, let's move this out of the way, that out. Well, now those are leaking. Okay, they're doubled up. Let's see if we just smart fill individually. See, those are leaking. I do not understand why they're leaking. That didn't happen. Well, I didn't really ever do this model. Why would that be leaking? Is there a double line? Tell you what, let me do. Let me go group and ungroup all. Let me move. This is one way around that. Just separate these guys. I'm going to go down with this one. I'm going to go to the right with this one. Now I'm going to smart fill that, set. I thought I had another one show up. See, and now I'm making them individually. Now what I can do is take the whole thing and put an outline, and now I can move everything back. So there's one more way to skin a cat if things just don't work. Now if I can just put everything back into place, this one I must have moved over and down. There we go. Now, if you remember, we don't want that star over there, or we're going to call it a star. So now I'm going to use the interactive fill tool on just one of these. And I'm going to go get the interactive fill tool, and I'm going to use a radius. So I'm going to go right here to the center, and I'm going to put this guy in the center, but I'm going to make it the radius black. Well, you know what I want? I want the outside black. So I'm going to bring that turquoise into the center and then use a black on the outside. That looks pretty good. I'll make it a little bit more rounder. Now what's cool about this, I can use the attribute eyedropper tool and take that sample, and basically I'm just pouring it in there and getting a different look. Now, if you remember, our nudge factor is still set on the same. Control G to group, Control D to duplicate, and duplicate it as many times as you want. Now, if you remember, we need this star on the other side, so we're going to go to Object, Group, and Ungroup. Make a duplicate of that, Control D, and just nudge it 3 times. So you have that same pattern. And there's a lot more ways you could do this to make a pattern. You could have these, closer together. I'm not going to go there, but you could start moving things around and have total different, take away that pattern. But I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to take away my indexing lines. I'm going to select all this. I'm going to hold down my shift and hit my rectangle tool, put a rectangle around it all. I'm going to hit black. I'm going to go to Object, Order, Back of Page. And that's a pretty cool pattern. The tips are actually touching, but because they're black, they don't really show up. But you get this clover looking pattern, and you could play around with that. But see, here's the part where I'm not overlapping. So each piece is not, none of these are on top if you didn't do what I did at the first of the video. And there's still probably other things you could do. We could take away the black. I'm overstepping my bounds here. Let me just delete that. Let me go engulf all this again. Double shift on the tool, and you could put a different color. You don't have to use a smart, you could use the smart fill tool and have different colors through here, and then have some of them black. You could change the smart fill tool and make some of them black. Whoop. So you could have I don't like it. I don't even know why I was going there. But anyway, just make the whole thing black. And by making the whole thing black, just right click, go up to Object, or the back of page. Anyway, so watch part 1 if you don't understand the 50% at 60-degree rule. And hope that helped just a little bit. Thank you for watching.